Hey folks, Paul Roberts here. For my next video fishing journal, I was expecting to cover summer conditions, the high heat of summer. I define summer conditions as the period when surface water temperatures break into the 80s Fahrenheit. This temperature range brings bass to their metabolic peak when their engines are essentially approaching redline, at and beyond which a large amount of food is required to keep their metabolic engines stoked. This can greatly influence our fishing, as I'll describe in the next few videos. As it turned out this summer, summer heat didn't last long. So I'm not able to show you what summer conditions tend to mean to bass in my and many waters throughout the country. So we're going to move on and explore the alternative to that high summer heat. What happens when a series of back-to-back cold fronts descend on midsummer bass ponds? The short answer is the potential for some pretty darn good fishing. So my next video fishing journals nicely illustrate the importance of two key conditions, water temperature and lighting. There are some caveats, of course, since there are always multiple factors at work influencing the immediate behavior of the fish that we have in front of us. But I think these next vids show pretty well what can happen in those as those key conditions change. What I'm not able to do is show you the flip side, the comparison to what it was like during those high heat periods of summer, which are often a very different animal entirely. But we do get a glimpse of it, of this a bit, in the second video, part 2, when summer weather returns for a short and I have to say somewhat ego-bruising window of time. I shot these videos last year, and they were my very first. So they have some audio and video issues that I hope you can sit through. I think what they show will be worth your time. Okay, let's do it. Let's take a look at those glorious summer cold fronts. Hey folks, in this video journal we're going to hit some small gravel quarries here in northern Colorado in August, smack dab in the middle of summer. I'm talking to you from my desk here because I had some audio troubles in the field. And I want to give you a bit more than just a video of some bass being caught with some lousy audio attached. So my intent for this channel is to provide content, information on the conditions and circumstances that make or break any given fishing day. So let me fill you in a bit on this particular day before we hit the water. Summer here is normally defined by two key features. First, water temperatures are at their peak for the year, most often somewhere in the low to mid 80s. The bass's metabolic engines peak at these temperatures, which effectively means that they require a lot of food to keep those engines stoked. If they can get enough food, they'll experience peak growth. But if they can't capture enough food, they lose body weight. At the same time, aquatic vegetation growth peaks in summer, which can make hunting more difficult for bass. The primary prey here, sunfishes, are particularly good at evading bass, especially in dense cover. They survive predation best when they have places to hide. On the flip side, bass hunt best when they have some running room. So when vegetation gets dense here, bass have a tougher time hunting. Together, high water temperatures and dense cover make the mid to late summer, in shallow vegetated waters at least, a challenging time for bass to capture enough food to sustain body weight. They become noticeably thin at this time when this is happening. They also alter the amount and the timing of their hunting activity. They begin to feed most aggressively during the most opportune times, under low light, at cooler times of the day, often sunrise, or after dark. Now remember, these are shallow vegetated waters where this scenario is most apt to play out. This may or may not hold in all water bodies, especially bigger, deeper lakes where deep water scenarios develop in summer, or in water bodies with readily available prey that can keep the bass's engines fueled. Now, not every summer is the same. Some summers remain overcast and cool, resulting in cooler water temperatures and poorer vegetation growth. Milfoil, the predominant weed here and in many parts of the country, in particular needs a lot of light to grow well. A dark, cool summer will hinder that growth noticeably, which gives the bass a leg up on those bluegills. And this will show up in the bass's body condition. What's telling is that such cool, dark summers expose more normal, classic summers for what they really are. A tough time for bass living in shallow vegetated habitats. During these cool summers, the daytime bass fishing remains excellent, as if early summer never ended, which essentially it didn't. So the take-home here is that seasons are defined by very real factors. Those environmental conditions and circumstances, temperature, lighting, and prey availability being prime factors. This particular summer, the one we're about to drop in on, started very hot with periods of 100-degree air temperatures. The bass were tough to catch and became noticeably thin during this period. But in early August, a series of back-to-back cold fronts descended on us, and water temperatures plummeted and the bass fishing rebounded. I shot this in two segments, parts 1 and 2. Part 1 we'll fish during one of these cold fronts, right in the middle of it, with unseasonably cool temperatures and under gloriously dark skies, which is a real advantage presentation-wise. In part 2, the very next day, the front left us and bright sunny skies returned. Although water temperatures remained cool, the lighting conditions were very different, well demonstrating the effects of lighting on our fishing. And once again, apologies for the audio and some visual problems with this particular video. But the circumstances were unique and some nice fish were caught, so I hope you enjoy it. Let's go.
I'm just curious how much it cooled down overnight. Oh yeah. Okay, we're in the low 70s, 74 degrees. I could see him chasing stuff out there. I don't know if you saw it. And he was set up on that one little clump there. Well, since I'm fishing left-handed, let's see if I can actually land one left-handed. Usually I'm fishing right-handed. Okay. About 15 inches. And in good body condition.
Now this fish is managing to feed itself, which is not a big surprise in this particular pond. There's a lot of food in this particular pond.
All right, let me get you back. See the map? Okay, there's a nice pocket. Ooh. This one's about 14 inches maybe, just shy. Yeah. And he's got an opening here, like somebody had put him on a scale to weigh him maybe. He's on the thin side, pound and a quarter. No, I don't cast every little stick up I see. This spot happens to be between two major holding spots. And this shoreline is the traveler between the two. So every possible stopping spot on this bank is worth hitting. Don't spook everybody on me. side. And a hard time catching your meals, huh? A little bit of damage here when you were younger, I can see. There we go. That's a good fish. 16 3/4 inches probably. Pushing 17. Alright, there was some action out there toward the surface, so I just picked up the speed a bit and got clobbered. Alright, nice. Thank you, ma'am.
It's often a good idea to try to visualize where you think the bass might be holding before you throw. This can help you catch fish you might otherwise have spooked.
That looks like about a 15, 16 they got over there. Good. It's not one of my 20s. Just landed on a carp. There's one. Oh, we're heading into the stuff here. Come on up. Yeah, this might be the same one I caught earlier this year. And I had the GoPro turned off. Okay. Come on, baby. Oh. Okay, okay. There we go. I wonder if you're the same old girl. Nice fish, though. Didn't have a photo of her because the GoPro was turned off and I didn't know it. Same location. He was caught during really high temps. This is ideal today. Dropping temps and happy fish. She's probably just about 18 inches. Hang tight, honey. We want to look at you. Still a bit thin. Just a bit. Not too bad. She's in good shape. Alright. There you go, sweet pea. Very nice. Just swimming over. Sometimes they're up and chasing. There's one. Oh, another good one. Oh, it's always difficult to tell. Let's put some water to it. Come on, baby. Now we gotta get you through this milfoil here. That milfoil will slow you right down, won't it? Open up. Open up, honey. There we go. Good 16er. Again on the thin side. And that's due to the water temperatures. It's been a really hot summer. And it's finally cooled off. And look at that. That hook is barely through the maxilla. That braid will help you get through, though. Yeah, they're all on the thin side. You know, if the water temperatures were cooler, they'd get enough to eat, but they're working hard at this point. But water temperatures have dropped. What a gorgeous day. We got this low pressure just sitting on us, calm water, and the fish have been really happy today. And the milfoil's died back, so it gives them the opportunity to feed more. So things should be fattening up unless we hit another heat wave, which is very possible around here. All right, honey, there you go. Okay, a quick recap of the day. This front has brought a nice reprieve from the heat. We've appreciated it, and the fish have obviously appreciated it too. And it's something I look for every summer. The hottest times, sometimes you end up night fishing or fishing the break of dawn, the crack of dawn. Some waters I fish, there's a first light bite that's phenomenal, and then you're working your butt off to catch fish. So realize in midsummer, all you guys, if you're having a real hard time catching fish, it's not entirely your fault. Especially in these small waters where fish can't, they essentially get away from the heat. And you'll read about it online on the forums every summer. I can't catch anything. What's going on? The heat's a big deal. Temperature's critically important for cold-blooded creatures. Temperature matters. And having two great things happen, a drop in temperature and then cloud cover, which obscures your lure, and it makes it a lot more difficult for the fish to discern from real food. So that's a big plus in our court. Anyway, it was a good day. Glad you could come along, and we'll do it again.
Change. What I'm not able to do is show you the flip side, the comparison to what it was like during those high heat periods of summer, which are often a very different animal entirely. But we do get a glimpse of it, of this a bit in the second video, part 2, when summer weather returns for a short So my next video fishing journals nicely illustrate the importance of two key conditions, water temperature and lighting. There are some caveats, of course, since there are always multiple factors at work influencing the immediate behavior of the fish that we have in front of us. But I think these next vids show pretty well what can happen in those as those key condition engines are essentially approaching redline, at and beyond which a large amount of food is required to keep their metabolic engines stoked. This can greatly influence our fishing, as I'll describe in the next few videos. As it turned out this summer, summer heat didn't last long. Hey folks, Paul Roberts here. For my next video fishing journal, I was expecting to cover summer conditions, the high heat of summer. I define summer conditions as the period when surface water temperatures break into the 80s Fahrenheit. This temperature range brings bass to their metabolic peak when they're not able to show you what summer conditions tend to mean to bass in my and many waters throughout the country. So we're going to move on and explore the alternative to that high summer heat. What happens when a series of back-to-back cold fronts descend on midsummer bass ponds? The short answer is the potential for some pretty darn good fishing.